Tonight, we've learned there have been discussions on charter schools, a topic that's turning heads around Anniston. We've learned on Friday, December 15th, Anniston School Superintendent Darren Douthit, Anniston School Board President Robert Houston, School Board Member Joan Frazier, and Anniston Mayor Jack Draper met with Senator Dale Marsh and top charter school officials from Montgomery to learn more about charter schools. We spoke with Anniston School Board President Robert Houston via phone interview.
Initially what happened was I reached out to Dale and said, it's going to talk about reflection of the first year on the board. Because I had heard about the workforce development initiative that they got going on in Montgomery. And the governor had talked about that. So I know Dale was involved in that. So I brought that into it as well, but I wanted to make sure that we were capitalizing on everything that we had going on within our system to make sure that our students were job ready, military ready, college ready. Okay. So went down into his office. We talked for a while. I gave him a brief update that we had the advanced ed had came in and did an evaluation of our school system and told us that we had some areas that we need to improve upon. And so I laid it out. I said that it said culture, communications, technology, and it was one more, curriculum. Yeah, and curriculum. Yeah. And I said, look, and one of the most important parts of this is the culture part of it, because if we don't get that right, nothing else is going to work. So he said, yeah, okay, I got some ideas. I said, you have some ideas? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So he said, let's get a group of people together and let's talk about it. And so we pulled a group of people together. We had the mayor there. We had the vice president of the board there, Joan Frazier. We had a couple of people from Montgomery, and I don't have their cards with me right now, but they were people from Montgomery that he brought down. That was over the technical schools, because we had Mark 11 there as well, to listen to what was going on. I had the superintendent there, of course. So Dale started off and said, the concept I had was charter schools. I said, charter schools. He said, yeah. I said, okay. So he had another person that was a person that was really good on charter schools. So they started talking, and I sat there and listened for a while. And they said, what do you think? I said, look, I'm not here to talk about what we call it. I'm here to look at the tools that's needed to improve our school system. You guys want to talk about what you call it. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what tools are required to improve our school system. My only reason for being here is to make sure that our students, as I said before, was college ready, military ready, or career ready. Right. And what can we do within our current structure to get that done? So we went back and forth, and I said, look, at the end of the day, guys, my focus haven't changed. I don't want to waste 4 years of my life and not make this school system better. I said, you guys worry about what you call it. Don't worry about how you make it better.
Right.
And when we walked away from that, some people were pretty frustrated with me, I guess. But that was my intent was never to talk about what we call it. That doesn't cross my mind. Right. The key is that we've done the best we can do with what we have. And once we run out of options, then they may try something different.
Right.
But we haven't necessarily gotten to a point where we can actually say we've done all we can do in the current system. We certainly do need to deal with the culture. We have to do that, become more collaborative, engage more people. Yeah. We have to have more meetings with the teachers, administrators, and the superintendent on communications, and find a better way to do that. Curriculum, we need to engage the technology and the curriculum together to make our students more effective in using computers and learning.
Right.
So we have to do all these four things to make it work. We don't. And once we do these things and we still are not doing what we're supposed to do, then somebody else may look at what else they need to do. I think it'll take us 4 years to even just get that part of it right. So So I know people thought we were the whole intent, because Dale was involved, was around charter schools, and he mentioned that and he talked about it, but that was not our intent. Our intent was to find tools to make our school system better.
Anniston Superintendent Darren Douthit tells us it was an opportunity to look into options for education in the community regarding charter schools. Douthit adds talks about charter schools have been ongoing for the past few years. At this point, it appears this topic has not been brought up on the school board agenda or city council agenda for dialogue.
Okay, and you may remember that Dell, he ran on a platform, especially during his campaign ads, saying that, especially his wife said that they were for public schools and putting money in the classroom. I saw a version of that on YouTube.
Dell and I have been married 34 years. We've been blessed in good times and bad. He started a business, I was a teacher. Dell believes in public schools. That's where we send our children, and that's why he's reforming education. More money in the classroom, less for bureaucrats. Special interests attacked him, but I've always trusted Dale to do what's right. You can too.
So now he's flipped over to the charter side, and would that be a benefit? Would charter schools be a benefit for the Anniston students, or what have you learned on that end?
Well, what I really learned from that end is it really causes us to focus. But my concern is, and we talked about this a little bit as well, is we don't want to leave our kids out. You know, if charter school become really, really good, then you'll end up having to have a lottery before it's over to try to get into it. And that's my concern. And it could be better. A charter school or a magnet school it possibly could take our schools to a different level. I haven't done all my research on it. I just haven't. That was not my intent when I had the meeting.
Okay.
But we have to do something different, Clay, to improve our school system. Working harder at doing the same thing is not going to get us to the right place. And everybody in the community wants the same thing, and that's a better school system for us, for our students.
Houston adds that Senator Marsh says that the December 15th meeting was it, meaning no future meetings are scheduled.
Has these meetings been ongoing with Mr. Marsh?
No.
A couple of years ago or something like that?
No, they haven't. I guess they talked about this in the past, but when I set this meeting up, people started getting upset, saying, that's what he wants. He wants charter schools. He wants charter schools. I said, guys, the board's responsibility is to look at all the options necessary to make our school system better. Don't mean we're going to go on anything, because we can't do anything like that.
Right.
We have to go back to the board to make a motion and approval to move forward.
Right. So is there a future meeting? Is there still more meetings to listen to?
No, what Dale said right up front. He said, I had the meeting. You have talked to the top people in Montgomery now on charter schools. He said, I'm out. I'm done. So as far as he's concerned, he's done.
Okay.
He was clear on that.
Okay. So now he's just
he
pretty much fed you guys some information so you can come back and kind of sit on it and kick it around a little bit.
Right. He said, if you need me in the future on that, you can ask me. But for I'm concerned right now, I'm done. And he was clear.
Have you had a chance to go back with the fellow school board members and brief them on the December 15th meeting you had with Mr. Marsh?
No, we haven't had that session yet. We're going to have a session to talk about that, bring it up to them. The reason we didn't push it because the two of us wasn't really impressed with what we heard, and that was never on our minds. So we didn't rush back to talk to the rest of the board.
Okay.
But we will.
Okay. So it's kind of like like we used to call the military an out briefing. If you go to a summit meeting or whatever it is, and you come back, and then you say, okay, guys, here's what me and the superintendent and Ms. Frazier learned at our meeting with Dale Marsh. Boom, 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 boom.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Because, as you know, the three of us can go into a session like that have no power. The only power we have is just to listen.
Yes.
The power is when we come together as a board.
Right.
Just 4 days later, on the following Tuesday, December 19th, the Anniston City Council was in a work session. Councilman Ben Little found out about the December 15th meeting. Again, according to School Board President Robert Houston, Anniston Mayor Jack Draper was in that charter meeting.
And those kids are hurting, kids need help, and they're not getting it. And adults are in position and acting like babies. And the kids are hurting. Now, people coming in talking about charter schools.
Notice, Mayor Jack Draper remains silent as Councilman Little brings up the charter school meeting at the work session.
The public school system should be given the necessary equipment to do their jobs. And once it's there for them to do their job and they can't do the job, then I think it's imperative for adults to look at alternatives to make something happen so the kids are successful and not failing. So that's why I'm saying, let us allocate some funds and say, okay, school system, here you got it. Public, here it is, this is what we're doing for them. And if they fail, then hey, a charter school, harder school, daughter school, whatever school, need to come in here. We have to do something to help our kids and help this community. But you have an opportunity. Don't tell me to say, okay, you got to run.
It appears it was a missed opportunity by Mayor Draper to brief the council members on the charter school meeting.
Let them lace the boots up, and let them run. You know, and then we can definitely emphatically look them in the eye and to the public and say, here it is, this is what they got, this is what they received. And public, the school board failed. Public, they failed our kids. And public, they're failing this community. In public, we have to do something to improve our community, and this is what we're going. We got charter school, we got what's called that other thing, magnet school. You know, then we start looking at other things. But I think you're going to have a problem trying to put a charter school in, and if it is determined by the public, you're not exalting your means to impact the public school in a way. And I think that we need to put the school board on the spot. You know, show your hand and show your plan.
For the record, we left phone messages for Mayor Draper at his office at City Hall, his law firm, and on his cell phone. We were not able to reach the mayor for comment. Representative Dr. Barbara Boyd, who recently gave $7,000 to the school system, talked with us on phone, but Dr. Boyd told us she did not want to comment on the charter school matter. Meanwhile, some community members weighed in on the charter school matter and what impact it could have on the school system and community.
First of all, that should be in a private talks. Any type of meetings or talks discuss it. It should be something that everybody should be made aware of. At least the other board members, the other leaders in the community, city councilmen, everybody that's part of what's going on should be made aware of these type things. And doing things that that no one know about, I don't think is good, because it could just be a way of, before you know it, they're bringing the hammer down on you and no one knows what happened. I'm against it. I just don't think we need to switch right now. First place, thousands, millions of people across this country suffered and died for us to get our schools put under the court order. Because before that, the black schools were so badly discriminated against. It wasn't given the proper facilities and the things that the black teacher needed to properly educate our children. To me, next to a roof over your head, food on the table, education would be next. Three most important things to be concerned about. And so education is vital. As long as you keep our people ignorant, uneducated, not properly educated, they cannot compete against the best paying jobs or even be hired.
The charter school is a no-no for me and other people if you interview a lot of them, because they don't know what's going on. They're trying to slip something in on these kids. And that board out there was elected to do that. I kept telling them that you cannot do that. This is under a court order. Anniston is under court order. You got to go through Lee versus Macon. You got to go to court. Now, anybody that wants to go against that, let them find out now, because this ain't nothing but politics. And whoever's involved with that, they trying to get the white vote. Charter school is less money, less educated teachers. They can teach with a 2-year degree. And it's just a matter of money. And the way these politicians feel, they don't want to put money out on the black kid. That's what it is. And so why don't they try to consolidate Anniston, Sachs, and Weber? Why don't you tell Marsh that, you see? All they trying to do is trying to be elected. That's all it is.
I'm shocked that he is even entertaining the conversation of charter schools, and he's the superintendent. I'm shocked that he would even be doing that, because he may not be superintendent anymore. When I spoke to him, like I said before, he said we just need more money. But and we have been working at trying to get him more money. But when you talk to leaders who can provide that money, they say we have already funded Anniston schools more than other school systems doing a better job. So it's got to be in the administration.
In the council work session, they also reviewed technology efforts and funding and had questions on the progress of the technology upgrades.
They have a lot of outside influences that somewhat is impacted, and it may not be positive impact. I don't understand how Anniston is the only school system pretty much in this county that's trying to be run by or ran by outside forces. And those outside forces don't necessarily have a name to do secret stuff. It's just that our kids are feeling the impact of that. And but that's either here or there for once it sells that, and it is, because I think everyone is concerned, wanting to help, but make sure that the funding is going to where it's supposed to be going to. And it comes with an impact. Again, I am greatly disturbed that the one-to-one digital device is not in the hand, and I don't know if they have a plan to put them in there yet.
Yeah, I agree with I'm not sure I agree on the 1 cent, but I agree with your concerns in respect to the system. I look at it, and I look at our neighbor to the north in Jacksonville, same number of students roughly, almost half the budget. All those kids 5th grade and up got new Chromebooks this year.
Weber and Sachs all got new Chromebooks.
They got, now those kids in Jacksonville had to pay a $50 deposit for those things in case it gets broken, damaged, something like that. If you lose a cord or something like that, you got to replace it. Jacksonville also offers a free lunch, free breakfast to any child that comes to school there that wants it, regardless of their economic status. And it dumbfounds me that we're dealing with the same number of students, and we got $11 million more, and we're not able to do it. I mean, we ought to, at the very least, be able to do the same thing, right? Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I'm not on the school board. I hadn't dug in enough to be able to tell you where the miss is, but I can see there's a miss somewhere. You know, I don't know what it is. So, be interesting. You know, I'd like to hear. You know, why are we so far
behind
off, and we always in need of money, and we're not able to even be on a level playing field with somebody, with a system that's got the same student body. Now, I recognize the difference in level of economics and poverty and all that does impact those numbers, but not to that dollar.
Not doubling it.
Not to that dollar, it doesn't. I mean, it does make a difference, and I agree, and I totally get that, but it not to that level.
You're absolutely right. Why is it that we're in a system, like you said, the same size, but the money came at the same time, but Welborn has Chromebooks provided to them. There's a Saks, they have new books.
But I think
Oxford
the settlement did
yeah.
that. Now, but
But
not
we-
every
we
school
put-
does. Alexandria doesn't.
Yeah,
If-
well, we
if-
put the money out though. What I'm saying is we put money towards these Chromebooks, and why is it taking so long to get that money? Because the money came within a month of each other. So why is it we're a year behind almost when they had their stuff by the beginning of the school year? Something needs to happen. I don't understand the
But I'm
accountability.
not sure if all schools really do have those Chromebooks.
Well, some students by now.
Shane, your student, your kids go to the county. Could you tell us what they do there?
They don't have anything. Well, my kids go well with that.
I thought Welborn had new
And what about you?
books provided.
My kid doesn't have one, and they don't have them in the classroom. I don't know. They may have them, and maybe they're working on a plan, but all I can tell you is he don't have one.
I know they don't have an Alexandria either. You can bring one if you've got one. You can bring it, but
We gotta get something
There's no
done.
program in
And
place
so-
for their
and
use
so Mary,
outside the
your
school.
kids go to Saks and they don't get to take them home either?
No, they
Okay.
haven't brought any home.
Okay, but do they provide them at school?
I'm not sure, they haven't said anything to me.
Okay, because we've heard forever and
If it's in high
forever
school and
that
Saks
Anniston's the only school that doesn't get them, but I don't think that's the reality, really. So what about at Jacksonville?
Jacksonville has them.
They have,
Everybody 5th grade and up, I believe, has them in Jacksonville. I know all the high school does. That's not the
That's not the point.
That's
the
not
same
point
number of
of-
students
They should have them. It doesn't matter which school they're at, they should have them.
right.
But, that's the way our world is. And we helped, we scratched and clawed at each other through a budget process to get there, to get them, some of what they needed, and we still sitting here.
Well, Jay, let me ask you a question. Anniston High School, when it was originally built, it was built for how many students? Like 2,500?
I don't think so. I want to say 1,100 is what I was told. I can't
And there's
confirm.
there less than 500 in that building?
They're around 500.
Well, I talked to Joan Frazier. I said, what is the difference here? What do you compare Anniston with as far as demographics, as far as poverty level? And she mentioned Midfield, Fairfield, but their budget is nothing like Anniston. And she says it's because they have like 2 buildings. They don't have a lot of different buildings spread out all over their areas, and so their overhead is much less.
Well, that's true
and
of
it's all-
Jacksonville, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they've
going
got
to
2
the kids and
facilities.
not to keep all these buildings together. I mean,
But that has nothing to do with Chromebooks. We're talking about Chromebooks.
well, I know, but we're talking about budget. We're
It
talking
does impact their
it talks
ability
about where does the
to
money
be
go?
And all these,
responsible
and all
with their
these,
dollars.
you're right. But all these buildings have updated Wi-Fi. All they need is the devices so we can get our kids on the playing field where, the goal is to prepare our kids as much as possible to compete in a global market and be able to be successful in life. That's all we can do. Give them that opportunity.
I would certainly need some, and
And we're not the school.
your thought process is not a bad one in my opinion, but I would certainly need some evidence to show that they're moving this in the right direction before I'm ready to commit more to it. And I like the idea of trying to put it, we tried that with that innovation fund too. I'm not sure how successful. We know, the first year we started the culinary program, and then
Culinary,
cosmetology.
pre-K, cosmetology.
Yeah, we've seen our dollar get to the classroom in previous years to some respect, but we don't have a formal accounting of how every dollar was spent that we provided. We've never received that, and we ought to get that. It is up to us to be stewards of the city's money, and we ought to be able to tell somebody when they call and say, "Why do you give money?" And say, "Well, because it went to this and this and this," and I can show you on the books how it got there, and then it's easy for us to defend ourselves. Not that we should have to defend ourselves or give money to education, but
Well, I think it's good, and probably by the last meeting in January, should have something worked out to bring it up. I'm just very disturbed on what is happening and what is happening, and it just seems like there's just no plan on getting out of the ditch, and the students are hurting.
mm-hmm.
The students are the one that's hurting. You know, if someone runs for office, you ought to have an idea on what you're going to do before you get in there. Not once you get in there, well, I need to learn this and learn that. You ought to have an idea, you know, this is goofed up, and we need to get in there, running, doing this, and this. At least an initial idea. And people in a position that can't cut the mustard, can't cut the mustard. That's what has to happen. You know, and we're in position in 4 years. You run, if people don't think you're cutting the mustard, they cut you. That's what has to happen anywhere, what I think. You know, people are hurting, people need help, and those kids are hurting, kids need help, and they're not getting it.
Advanced Ed. They came in and they identified some of the same things that I had denoted earlier, but as a leader, I sat back and evaluated for a year. They denoted communications, culture, curriculum, and technology. Our focus should be, if we can address those 4 things, we wouldn't be having any conversations because we wouldn't be addressing kids' needs. Think about it. What's not in those 4 things that would make the school better or make us better personally? As a leader, the word leadership comes to me, I love it.
And I'd also like to see us engage in more conversation about student achievement and policies that would help us get where we need to go, particularly at the K1 and 2 levels. I'm not saying that the financial aspect is not important, but if we don't have a dime, we're going to have kids in the school. And if it gets so bad that the money is out of whack, the State Department will come. We're still going to have kids in the schools that we are responsible for making sure that they get the best they can. And we have yet to discuss the baseline and where they are. We have not had any what you call needs assessment from our teachers. I'm sure they have it, but we haven't asked for it. We haven't seen it in things that we might be able to do to help them. And I do know that as a board, we're getting there, we're gelling, and we're going to get there. But I just want to go on record as saying these are some of the things I think that we need to be doing as a board.
I think in the next month or so, it would be incumbent on this board to have some subcommittees that can work between our board meetings and report at our work sessions in terms of looking at what she's just talking about. Yes, we've been seated on this board for a year, and I think that this next year needs to be filled with more action and more zeroing in on what our needs really are and how we can govern, not administrate, but govern the system to achieve those needs.
So you'll see a little different Trudy Munford, because we're going to work together. We're going to go back to the academics, which is what I've been preaching ever since I've been on the board. And I want to work closely with this board so that we can improve the academic achievements of our students in the district. So again, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to learn as much as I can learn, and I have learned a lot, and I want to thank the board members, and I want to also thank the parents who have come to me, and the teachers and principals. So you'll see that I'm going to take my time from this point on, because I've had 1 year and I'm still learning, but I've learned some things. And so I want to thank you.